Hello everyone. Welcome back to another episode of our /JustNoMil. In today's episode,
MiL pushing boundaries.
Ida, upset as in-laws gave a birthday book featuring lots of photos of partner's ex. MiL presented birthday book with pics of OH's ex. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started.
MiL pushing boundaries.
Hi, I've been reading through some old posts after this forum came up when I googled, "Mother-in-law wants to suck my baby's toes." I'm in disbelief that this is what I'm here googling in the middle of the night, but here we are. For context, my first baby was born 13 weeks ago. I lost a lot of blood during an emergency C-section and was very close to developing sepsis. OH is an only child, so this is his parents' first grandchild. My mom has dementia sadly and so hasn't been able to be involved, and as my relationship with MiL previously has been good, I was really happy to have her around. Things started to turn when she announced her and Phil had rented a house opposite us for 8 weeks around my due date. Further context, we have been staying in her holiday home between houses. When I was in labor and transferred to hospital, she came to get our dog. Great. First day back from hospital, in extreme pain and not having slept for 5 days, she turned up at 9:30 p.m. to deliver the dog back, saying she couldn't sleep because he flaps his ears. This was very frightening and stressful, and not the way we planned to introduce him to the baby. I feel it put us all at risk. He's fine with her now, was just terrified and stressed that night. OH delivered dog back next morning. MiL and Phil decide to come round later that day with the dog for a visit. She immediately puts her feet up, asks me to get her a cup of tea, and demands the baby, saying how much she looks like OH, not me. I am trying to keep dog under control and make tea, when she starts saying OH's ex-girlfriend's mother would be an extended grandma to our baby. Ex is not in my life and he barely sees her. We've been together 7 years. The entire time she was here, she kept undermining what I'd been through. "Oh, you'll be driving again in a week," etc. Naturally, I'm hugely upset after this visit. My blood pressure goes scary high, and I'm almost readmitted to hospital. OH says no more visits that week. My brother and Sil come at the weekend to check us out and give some support. He's a GP. Said no more stress or I'd be back in hospital. MiL manages to tame her behavior a bit after this and is much more respectful for the few weeks they were still around. Anyway, fast forward to now and she has started spontaneously turning up to stay in her house as she has things to do. She constantly pushes at my boundaries around showing up with a cold sore, head cold, etc., and although she accepts no holding, she makes it clear it's because she doesn't want to set me off. She constantly talks about wanting to suck my baby's toes. She shoved her face into her stomach when I was changing her and grabbed her out of my arms/lap twice. Second time I was very direct and said, "Give her back now." She constantly says we should be feeding her solid foods, and whenever we're eating she says to our 12-week-old daughter, "Want a bit of this?" She constantly disagrees with medical guidance we quote to back up our choices and is behaving as if I'm mentally unwell as the reason she grudgingly doesn't kiss her when she has an active cold sore, but insists on touching her hair/feet. I was unable to speak up when she did it. I was alone with her and hadn't slept for 2 days when this happened. She has told OH that I'm not taking care of myself properly and it'll affect our baby's well-being. She's exclusively breastfed. I get standing up to her when she breaks a boundary, but what do I do when she teases around them? I said, e.g., "No one is going to be sucking anyone's toes around here." And she replied it was just a sweet joke. It was not. When I have handed baby to her, she says things like, "Let's get that silly mummy out of the way, shall we?" and walks off. She says she's joking if I raise it and makes out that it's my anxiety. It's much worse when just her and I, as she behaves herself better when OH is around. We're moving out of her holiday home soon, so won't have to deal with unwelcome extended stays. But she makes me want to crawl out of my skin when she says those gross things to my beautiful, precious baby, and I'm not sure how to stand up to her to make it stop each time we see her in future. Why did your husband let you make tea for his mother within days of a C-section while she sat on her rear? Well, quite. I was furious with him. He was out of it, having had no sleep too, but we discussed it and he fully got it and apologized. He's been consistent with backing me up / stepping in since that moment. Continue raising like you're doing, but you need to reply to her joking BS with "I didn't find it funny." Too shocking. No, that isn't funny. It's nasty. No spittle on baby. What is OH doing about this? He needs to step in or up here. She's ridiculous. I know that's her house, but he needs to keep her away as much as possible for your mental health. Stop handing her the baby. Every time she shows up, you should be putting LO in a baby carrier, unless LO is already napping. Or lock yourself in your bedroom to feed LO, even if it's not time to do so. Or lock yourself in your room with LO for a nap, even if you only have quiet playtime instead. Make her feel unwelcome, especially when DH is not there with you. If she can't control her unwelcome behavior, isolate yourself from her. And be careful the next time they offer any help to you. You don't have to have contact with her without your OH around. They need to step up and address their mother and the degrading way she is speaking about you, making it clear that it isn't you being oversensitive, that the disrespectful behavior is not objectively okay towards anyone. And as a consequence, she is not to spend time with you when OH is not present. She doesn't respect you enough to hear it from you. It has to come from her child. No more surprise visits. And if you can get out of the holiday home sooner rather than later, for your sanity, even if it costs you some money, do it. Emails like this only ever offer it, so they can have the upper hand. Ida, upset as in-laws gave a birthday book featuring lots of photos of partner's ex. My partner and I welcomed our first child 4 months ago, and for his birthday his folks have made him a photo book of his life. Lovely. Partway through the presentation of the book, I noticed lots of photos featuring his ex. They split 8/9 years ago. She cheated on him and broke his heart, then caused issues with us in the first couple of years. We've been together for 7 years. We get to the middle section and there's a double-page spread of her and him together, at a sports event, on holiday, etc., etc. There are no photos of any of his other relationships, or of him and his friends, easy to find on Facebook / Instagram, etc., or to ask me. I feature at the end some truly bad angled photos, and right on the last page there's one of the side of my head amongst photos of him with our baby as a newborn. I felt quite hurt by the inclusion of the ex in such a pronounced way. She featured in a few clear sections of the book that didn't really need her presence, e.g. her enjoying a glass of wine with his mom at their holiday cottage, her sat at the table with his mom's extended family, photos from a trip. His folks have been noticeably weird with me since our baby was born, and I can't tell if my sensitivity over this is all in my head. I didn't know what to do or say as I stood there holding their grandbaby, staring at these photos of his ex-girlfriend on holiday with them, or just cute snaps of my partner and his ex together. I don't really want this thing sitting on display at our house. It feels super odd to me. I've said this to my partner and explained that it felt upsetting and insensitive at best and targeted at worst, and he thinks I'm overreacting and being snarky about it. Ida? Partway through the presentation of the book, I noticed lots of photos featuring his ex. They split 8/9 years ago. She cheated on him and broke his heart, then caused issues with us in the first couple of years. We've been together for 7 years. Yeah, that's insane. Like if you were wondering if this is something that normal average people do, and you somehow missed the trend, it's not. Create a photo book for your adult child that predominantly features an ex that dated 9 years ago that cheated on them is weird, even if they aren't now married to someone else with a kid. Who would think that's a good birthday present? Best case scenario is whoever chose the pictures is very narcissistic and picked the photos they looked best in. which also happened to be over a decade ago. Worst case scenario is they hate you and wish he'd married her instead. NTA, and I'm surprised how okay your partner is with it, as it does seem like a crappy gift. NTA. At best, this was a misguided and insensitive gift from his parents. At worst, it was an intentional jab at you. I don't blame you for not wanting it around. He chose you, and you made him a father, so I don't think it's very appropriate for a photo book that heavily features his ex to be on display in your house. Maybe he can put it out when his parents come over? It's a bit off-putting that he's defending the gift rather than being put off by it as well. You're his partner. Wouldn't he be a little defensive of you? MiL presented birthday book with pics of OH's ex. For my husband's birthday, his parents, Reed, MiL, have made him a photo book of his life. Lovely. Partway through the presentation of the book, I noticed lots of photos featuring his ex. They split 8 years ago. She cheated on him and broke his heart, then caused issues with us in the first couple of years. We've been together for 7 years and have just had a baby. We get to the middle section and there's a double-page spread of her and him together, at a sports event, on holiday, etc., etc. There are no photos of any of his other relationships, or of him and his friends, easy to find on Facebook/Instagram, etc., or to ask me. I feature at the end some truly bad angled photos, and right on the last page there's one of the side of my head amongst photos of him with our baby as a newborn. I felt hurt and bewildered by the inclusion of the ex in such a pronounced way. She featured in a few clear sections of the book that didn't need her presence, e.g. her enjoying a glass of wine with his mom at their holiday cottage, her sat at the table with his mom's extended family, photos from a trip. His folks have been noticeably weird with me since our baby was born. I have posted here before, and I can't tell if my sensitivity over this is in my head as a result. My OH seems to think it is. I didn't know what to say as I stood there holding their grandbaby, staring at these photos of his ex-girlfriend being celebrated in a bound book. MiL knows that things have been tricky with the ex. She has asked me about it, and we talked quite openly about it in the past. I don't really want this thing sitting on display at our house. It feels super odd to me. I've said this to my partner and explained that it felt upsetting and insensitive at best and targeted at worst, and he thinks I'm overreacting and being snarky about it. Should I just let it go? I feel like I want to confront his mother over this. Edit/update. So I've just remembered that OH told me about how horrendously MiL treated this ex when they were together. When we clocked, she was bullying me last time we saw her a few weeks ago. What is going on there? No way, not overreacting. That's super weird. I've been with my DH for a long time, but prior to being with me, he had dated a girl for 4 years during high school and into college. We actually went to the same high school, and I remembered them looking so cute together. Oh well, now if my MiL made a book of his life, I would expect and totally be okay with, say, a prom photo with her, because I know they had a decent young teen relationship. Their relationship ended fine, and she was long gone by the time DH and I started dating. They were also in theater together. So like a group photo of theater kids with her in it? Also NBD to me. Your situation is not anywhere close to mine. It sounds like his ex sucked, and there's no reason for her to be in those photos. I have a hard time believing MiL couldn't find any better photos to use, or at least crop the ex out. It's weird at best, and trying to be malicious/rude at worst. I kind of agree with other comments that you should frame it as, what if it was photos and of me with all my exes on display, to OH to get him to understand how dang weird it is.
Saw the.
Obviously MiL is a psycho, but your OH sees no issue with this? He is the bigger problem. If it were me, I would probably tell her in my most sincere tone, wow, this is such a thoughtful gift. I love seeing all these pictures of him, just so MiL wouldn't think she won. Then make the book disappear in a box in the attic. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.